Okay, hopefully you guys will have some questions to ask. Last week we had a really great session making polenta fries, and actually a couple of people that were watching took the opportunity to make the polenta fries at home. And you saw some pictures back, and yeah, let us know how you do. It was really, really great. So Cassie, what are we making today?
Crab cakes.
So she was pretty excited about making crab cakes because she's had them before. We haven't made them at home, but so this is the first time for both of us in terms of being able to make it at home. We've never worked together before, so this could get ugly really fast. Okay, guys? But no, I have a great helper in Cass, and she loves great food, so we're going to have a great time today producing these crab cakes for everybody, okay? So let me talk a little bit about crab cake, and Cassie, feel free to ask any questions that you have, okay? So I know that you've been thinking long and hard about some pretty dangerous questions, so I hope I can answer them, okay? So people are going to be asking about the types of crabs that we use. And hi, how are you, Susan? They're going to be asking about what types of crab you can use. So today we're using swimmer or blue crab, and that's an Atlantic coast crab, cold water crab, and pretty common to use in the southern states. That's one of the larger varieties of crab that in the Chesapeake area and stuff like that, Maryland, where crab cakes are very, very popular. And you can also use other crabs if you'd like as well. So Dungeness crab, as well as Alaskan king crab, very expensive, but you can use a crab meat's delicious. But for this particular type of crab cake that we're doing from a southern crab cake, we're using blue crab, okay? There's a lot of lingo in the industry about what type of crab meat is the best and what particular variety of crab. So again, we're using a swimmer crab today, or a blue crab, and we're going to be using lump crab meat. So a big fancy word that's used to describe the really prized morsels of crab that you can get out of the high-cat, that you can get out of the crab itself, okay? Expensive. So I'll give you an example. The lump crab meat that I bought yesterday cost $45 a pound for the lump crab meat. And that's really because of the yield. So in 1 pound of crab, you can only get about 4 ounces of crab meat, which is ridiculous. So 16 ounce of swimmer crab will only yield 3 to 4 ounces of crab meat. The 2 morsels of jumbo lump crab that come from that crab are only about 2 to 5% of that 30% of crab meat. So there's really not a lot, okay? So I had Billy stream in just on the crab itself, so the picture. So we're talking a little bit about the lump crab meat. So the lump crab meat is right here. So there's only 2 morsels up by the swimmer claws here, and that's why it's so prized. So this is the lump crab meat. I'll show you in a second. That will go into some detail, and I'll show you the crab meat. But it's just these large, beautiful white nuggets of crab, the 2 that are found underneath the swimmer, and extremely expensive and very prized in terms of producing the best quality crab cake. The second one is called the lump crab, which is just below the jumbo lump, and you get several morsels. It can be a solid piece, or it can be broken apart a little bit. Again, very expensive, about $35 a pound right now. And again, very beautiful portion crab meat, not quite as premium as the jumbo lump, but still a great crab to use. There is one that's in between that's called a backfin crab meat. That's a combination of the 2, or it might be some of the jumbo lump that's been broken down a little bit so that it's not necessarily as prized as this particular piece. And then the final least expensive one is from the claw. So from all these little claws here, you'll get some of the claw meat, okay? And that is, again, it's a little bit darker. It doesn't really have that creamy, really rich flavor, but again, makes a fantastic crab cake. So any of these are great. What I would avoid is anything that people are saying the artificial or the surimi crab meat, very inexpensive, but you can definitely use that as well. Billy, you can zoom back out again.
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit about surimi. So surimi, I'll just get rid of that, Cass, if you can put that on the table. Surimi is actually artificial crab. It's actually a fish byproduct that's flavored and is made to look like crab, but it's not actually crab itself, okay? So what we're going to do today is we're going to use the jumbo lump crab, and I'm going to have Cassie help me prepare the crab cakes. So what we're going to do first, if we could just put those 2 in the fridge. You can just put it in the fridge here. And what I'm going to get all the ingredients for the jumbo lump, okay? We have quite a few things to do today. I'll give you a hand, you okay? So you're not going to drop it on the floor and Mom will kill us.
Okay.
1, 2, beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the jumbo lump crab meat, and I've got the recipe here. The recipe was forwarded to everybody so you can follow along if you'd like. But the recipe we have here that Cassie's going to be able to guide us along the way, and I'll be producing almost like I'm her sous chef today, except she's not allowed to yell at the chef. Okay, so we're going to keep that clear right from the beginning. So the first thing we're going to do, and again, what we don't want to do is we don't want to take these beautiful morsels of white crab meat and break them down. Okay, so I really don't want to press the juice out. Being that they're solid pieces, there will be very little liquid, but I do want to eliminate that from the beginning, okay? So what I'm going to do is get Cassie to put the strainer on top of the bowl, and you're just going to put this on top, like this. Just put that on top like that. You're just going to put the crab meat on top of the strainer, and she's not going to press it at all yet until we're going to start to put the other ingredients. So just like that. Yep, just dump it right in. Good job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the other ingredients organized for the crab cake, okay? Okay, here we go. So magic, everything was prearranged and made in advance so that she doesn't stress out too much. So Cass, just take a look at your recipe there. Yep. We'll talk a little bit about the ingredients so that we can get these rolling, and then we'll be good to go. So in terms of our crab cake today, we're going to be using some minced garlic, some corn that what I've done is I've charred it on the barbecue and roasted it earlier, okay? We have some finely diced sweet peppers. Can you use green peppers? Absolutely. Can you use other variety of peppers that maybe you enjoy? Absolutely, it's your choice. But for this particular recipe, we're doing it more traditional. Some mayo, right? You love mayo? So mayo's good, nice and fattening. It's going to give some richness to the crab cake. Lemon juice is going to enhance the crab. We don't want to doctor the recipe too much, so we really want that flavor of the crab, especially this, because that's what we're paying for. All the money is in that priced crab meat. So we really want that flavor to come through as opposed to really doctoring it up and making it taste like what it's not. We also have some red onion. We have some fresh dill, some breadcrumbs, and what the breadcrumbs are going to do is they are going to allow us to retain that moisture within the crab cake. We're using Old Bay seasoning just because this is a southern recipe, and I'll explain that in just a minute. And we're using a little bit of grainy mustard, okay? So a lot of the recipes I'm going to go over and start to saute as I'm getting Cassia to prepare the rest of the crab cake. So I'm going to help her out here a little bit. Okay. So let me just get the corn organized and the olive oil I'll need. Okay. So what Cassie's going to do first, she was nervous I was going to drop everything, okay? So you're going to just grab your other bowl there and bring that bowl over. And again, you can see that virtually no liquid came out of this crab meat. So that we don't want to really break it down and press and get rid of those beautiful lumps of white crab meat. So I'm just going to transfer into the bowl here, okay? And just separate the morsels of crab. Just gently separate them, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to get you some gloves, Cass, because I know that you love touching raw crab meat. Well, cooked crab meat. I'll just get a couple of pairs of gloves there. And all you're going to do, Cass, is you're going to just gently break the meat just a little bit, okay? So you're not going to do it so that it completely macerates, it completely breaks down everything. Okay? So the nice thing about this recipe, again, is that really, as long as your ingredients are prepared in advance, it is really, really simple to execute, okay?
Break these chunks apart, yes?
You can break them apart, absolutely. Just a little bit. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the Old Bay seasoning. So the Old Bay seasoning is traditional. They're using, it's from Chesapeake actually. And you think about a Cajun seasoning as a perfectly good alternative choice for this, but classically and when they make crab cakes in the South, they use the Old Bay. So I think the ingredients are celery salt. I know there's a little bit of black pepper. I believe there's a little bit of paprika, but essentially a lot like a Cajun seasoning minus some of the heavier chilies, okay? Let's see, that looks great. That's good. Yeah, that's good. So now what Cassie is going to do is she is going to just squeeze half a lemon juice in there, okay, and avoid the seeds. So you're going to squeeze that in there. Ugh.
Oh my muscles.
Strong girl.
Oh no.
Okay, no seeds.
I just crawled.
She's going to put 1 to 2 teaspoons. 1 to 2 teaspoons of the Old Bay seasoning in there. There you go, Cass. So you're gonna put, you know what, for us, I would say do 2 is more than enough, okay? We're going to sprinkle on some of the breadcrumb. Okay? And again, that's gonna retain some of the moisture. So 2 of those, please, yeah. Beautiful. We're going to put in some of the mayo here. Okay. And again, that's all pre-measured. And what we're going to do at this point, thank you. What we're going to do at this point is we're not going to completely start working in the mixture of ingredients yet, because I'm going to take you over to the stove. And when I take you over to the stove, what we're going to do is we're going to saute the corn and the sweet peppers and the onion with some garlic, and we're going to add that in and then just gently fold all the ingredients together, okay? So the only last things that we're going to put in, we're going to put in a little bit of fresh dill here. And again, this was all just pre-picked. And I'm just going to chop across it, just in smaller pieces. Okay, and again, people will ask, is dill required, or maybe you don't like the flavor of dill and you prefer, maybe you prefer cilantro and you wanted to use a little bit of cilantro, you can do that as well. But really at this point, the recipe is completely up to your individual taste. So not necessary to use dill, but we just chose to use dill today because it's more traditional. And then the last ingredient at this point is we're just gonna add in a little bit of the mustard, okay? So for the mustard here, Cassia, you're going to add in, and I believe it is 1 teaspoon. Let's see here. Yes. Okay. There you go. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to get Cassie to do now, she's just going to hold all these ingredients. You can wash that up. Get all these ingredients over here on this empty spot, and I'm going to start sauteing. Billy, you follow me to the stove, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so over here what I have is I have white onion, I have the sweet peppers, I have the roasted corn that we talked about earlier, I have some olive oil, cracked pepper, and some garlic, okay? So I'm just gonna get all that organized, and salt and pepper.
Susan asked, do you have a favorite brand of mustard?
Actually, the one that I'm using today is right here. Is a Pomery from France. But you know what? There are a number of great companies. So the one I'm using right now is a Pomery from France. Great mustard. Have any of you heard of Kozlik's mustard? So Kozlik's is a great Canadian company that makes unbelievable mustard varieties and different things here in Ontario. They're located, you can get them at most high-end supermarkets, as well they're available at Kensington Market. They have a big display at Kensington. But they do like triple crunch and a lot of different flavored mustards. Like they're really, really incredible. Okay, good olive oil in the pan. At this point, what I want to do as well is I can start to heat up my oven, because the crab cakes, when we get to the point where we're cooking them, we're going to actually fire them in the oven for a couple of minutes to get to an internal of about 145, okay? So I'm going to set my oven to about 350. And I am going to use convection today, okay? So I always start off, a lot of people just put all ingredients or vegetables in at once. I start off with my onion first. Onion has a great flavor when you're cooking it out over medium heat. I'm going to just cook it till it's a little bit translucent. and that's going to get the sweetness out of the onion. I chose to use a red onion today. White onion is fine. Again, it's just the flavor profile of the red onion I wanted for this particular recipe, but we're just going to cook it out just about a half a minute, 30 seconds, just to develop a little bit of flavor, okay? And then at this point, the reason I don't add the garlic at first is garlic will tend to burn, and that burnt garlic gives a really robust but almost a bitter flavor, and I don't want that for this particular crab cake recipe. In some Italian cuisine, they do ask you to toast the garlic lightly and it'll give a little bit more flavor, but for this particular recipe, I don't want that, okay? So now at this point, then I've been able to develop a little bit of the flavor of the onion. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit, a tablespoon of fresh garlic here, okay? So it's been minced. We talk a little bit, a lot of the recipes online that we have on the YouTube channel will talk to you about mincing garlic, talk to you about how to properly dice onions, preparing mangoes, all those types of things. So if you are looking for some idea in terms of basic recipes, that can help you out a little bit, okay? You can see I don't have a lot of oil either at this point in time, okay? So now again, no color to that garlic. We're gonna add in our sweet peppers. And again, it can be green. If you like green peppers, you prefer them over a sweet pepper, absolutely. If you choose to use another pepper, absolutely, like a poblano or something like that, it's completely up to you. And to turn the heat down just a little bit. And again, all I wanna do is soften that vegetable a little bit, okay? You'll notice when we talk about the recipe itself too, on every stage we're going to season. Really important that we completely season every ingredient that we do, from breadcrumb to the flour that we're using in the breading mixture, the garnishes that we're putting in the crab cake here. Every stage we're seasoning, okay? Last is going to be the corn. And again, we're just going to saute that together. The corn is cooked because it's been roasted in advance, so it won't take much. It's really just incorporating it together. And again, I don't want a lot of oil. There's going to be enough moisture in that crab cake with the meal that we're adding. And the one thing I would mention is, depending on the type of crab that you use, the moisture might be different. Like, it'll be different from using the claw meat to using the lump crab meat. So it's okay if the recipe said you needed 2 ounces and you need to add a little bit more mayo to get it to the consistency you want, that's exactly what you do. Okay, so don't feel this recipe is marked in stone. So what we're going to do here, salt and pepper like we talked about. We can use white pepper. I said in the recipe white pepper. I'm going to use white and black actually. I'm going to use black here. So a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper. Okay. And just a quick saute here, and we're good, okay? And along all the way, what I like to do, and chefs walk around with spoons in their pocket for a reason, is that I just want to make sure that what I've done here I taste. Good. So my vegetable is soft, has good seasoning. Now we're going to go back and we're going to start preparing the crab cakes. Cassie is waiting anxiously on the other side. Okay, thank you. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to let this cool just a little bit so I don't burn my sous chef's hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to not transfer it directly onto the cutting board. I'm going to take my towel here and just place it on top so that the surface isn't touching. And then what we're going to do, I'm just going to run over the other side again, Cass, and I'm going to grab some of the seasoning salt in there, okay? So we're just going to let it cool down a little bit. So this can go here, and this I will get rid of. Beautiful. Okay. So Cassie, what I'm going to get you to do now, I'm going to mix in the corn mixture. Billy, are you getting us okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to mix in the corn mixture here. And then what I'm going to get you to do, just gently, is I'm going to get you to fold in the ingredients. And again, if this was the broken crab meat, the claw meat, I might not be as careful as I'm being here. but because I want to make sure that I keep a lot of that integrity of the crab meat, I'm going to mix in gently, okay? Did you get rid of your gloves, Cassia?
I just took them over, but I don't know if you want me to throw them out.
No, you'll need them again. We'll get you another pair, no problem. Great. Let's see.
I think it looks perfect.
I think it looks perfect. You did a great job. So you can see a lot of the integrity is there. Moisture is good. Yeah, moisture is good. So really what I'm looking for is to see that when I make these beautiful crab cakes, they're holding together, okay? And again, don't be afraid that if the crab cake itself is not holding, add a little bit more moisture, that's fine. So what we're gonna do, because Cassie and I are going to need to taste along the way, is we're just going to taste the crab meat itself, because for sure we'll need seasoning. Actually, it doesn't need a lot, eh?
Yeah, it's good.
So maybe we're gonna make sure we mix it completely.
I can stick them back.
We're gonna make sure we mix it completely. See, because some of the morsels on the bottom weren't completely mixed through.
That's almost.
That's all the mustard, exactly. So we just wanna make sure that that mustard is mixed through and that the moisture is completely through the crab cake. In the southern states, actually, what they use instead of breadcrumbs is what, Cassie? You have the answer, no?
No.
Do you know? You don't know?
No.
So they actually use saltine crackers in the south. That they get the salt from the crackers and it actually captures the moisture of the crab cake. So Cassie gets the fun job. So again, at this point, I'm not even seasoning. The Old Bay seasoning has quite a bit of salt in it, salinity. So at this point, I'm gonna try it one more time because I love crab meat. And this is generally why we don't eat in the kitchen,
Let's see, eat it all before it's right.
because we eat it all before, right?
Should I get gloves?
I would get gloves, yes.
New ones or should I just use these?
New ones if you could.
I feel like a doctor.
Okay, great. So again, the crab meat, again, you don't want it too wet because that'll cause it to fall apart. As long as it will hold when I'm making these beautiful crab cakes like that, then that's what we're looking for. And again, size, depending on if you're doing an hors d'oeuvre, I would say for an hors d'oeuvre, you're gonna go about 1/2 ounce to 3/4 of an ounce. For an appetizer, maybe you do 2 1.5 to 2 ounce portions. And then for an entree, if you're having a salad, maybe you want a big 2 ounce portion of crab cake, okay? So what we're gonna do, Cass, is I'm gonna get you to grab this tray here. Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Relax. Okay, grab this tray.
The one on this?
Yep, that clean one.
Yeah.
Bring it over there. And what I'm gonna have Cassie do now, while I'm gonna be making something else, is you're just gonna form crab cakes, okay? So about this size, this is the daddy crab cake. So something like that.
You get a bigger one?
I get a bigger crab cake than everybody else. I didn't get this figure from eating salad, everybody, okay? So you're gonna make nice crab cakes, and what I want you to do, Cass, is when you're forming them, and make some different sizes, because we have young kids in the family here too. So what you can do is form them, press them together into a nice ball, and then you're gonna flatten them out slightly, okay? Just like that. Cool?
Okay.
So you're gonna get those all organized. But you gotta make sure that they're holding, like that, okay? So you might have to press them, use a little bit of pressure, and they're good to go, okay?
Make little tiny ones.
You can make some little tiny ones too. I'm gonna move on to the next thing, and what we're gonna make is we're going to make the Chipotle Aioli. So if any of you filmed in last week, we made an aioli, which just is a big fancy word for garlic mayonnaise. And the only difference that we're doing this week is we're going to be making it with Chipotle. So does everybody know what Chipotle is? So what is the name again? Billy, I have a question.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was from a.
Hi Sam, how are you, sir?
Like this.
So what we're gonna be doing is making Chipotle aioli, okay? So the Chipotle aioli is so simple. Yeah, you're doing great. Chipotle aioli. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna make a little place where my bowl can sit, so I can do this on my own. So just a little opening here that's gonna prevent it from spinning, hopefully. and I'm going to start bringing my ingredients over. Okay? So ingredients for the aioli, again, very simple. Minced garlic, two egg yolks. Okay? Actually, why don't we do this first? This particular recipe, so this is 1 pound of crab meat. We're making like 2 ounce crab cakes. So with 2 ounce crab cakes, we're going to get about 8 per recipe, okay? 6 to 8, depending on the size you're making them. Do we have questions, Billy?
Nothing new, no.
Good to see you, sir. So we're doing 2 of the egg yolks here. We're going to do 1 cup. 1 cup of the mayonnaise. And again, I talked a little bit about using mayonnaise as a stabilizer and having a bunch of young chefs in the kitchen and choosing to put mayonnaise in a lot of the aioli recipes just so that I knew that these young guys were not going to break the aioli, okay? We're going to zest and juice 1 lemon, okay? So we talked a little bit about zesting. So you're gonna make sure you're using a very fine zest. Some of the microplanes can take off some pretty serious pieces of the rind here, and you don't wanna go into the pith. So the white part is fairly bitter. You can blanch, to take some of that bitterness of the rind away, you can blanch it, and that helps as well, okay? The brand of the mustard. So the type of mustard that I use is the French mustard, but I was talking about Coslicks that is available, a Canadian mustard company here that does an outstanding job. I have Billy monitoring the back over there and giving me some of the questions, so hopefully that's coming through for you guys. Okay?
Good job, Billy.
Good job, Billy. So we're just going to get rid of some of this equipment here. And now I'm going to juice this lemon as well, okay? So we're just going to take this juice. If I roll the lemon a little bit, what it does is it actually helps more of the juice come out of the citrus, okay? So I'm just going to split that in half. And using the juicer here, I'm just going to take the full amount of juice. Full amount of juicing of one of these lemons, only because I've done it a few times now, is about 1/4 cup of lemon juice, about 2 ounces. You're quite welcome, Susan. Thank you.
Oh, you're rich.
Yeah, I can see some of them here, but my eyes are not as good as they used to be. Probably because my glasses are on top of my head. Maybe it would help if I had them on my eyes. No, I'm okay. Especially now that your hands are full of crab meat right now. I think I'm good.
These gloves are so big.
They're so big. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to pour in the lemon juice,
He's laughing.
avoiding all the seeds and some of the pulp. And I'm just going to take a minute and just bring this together at this point, okay? So I'm just bringing the lemon juice and the mayo and the egg yolks and the garlic together, okay, right here. So now what I'm going to add in here is I'm going to add in, and now I'll give a question to one of my young cooks out there. Sam, what is Chipotle? Can Sam tell me what Chipotle is? Does anybody know what Chipotle is? Is everybody fond of Chipotle? So Chipotle actually is smoked jalapeno, okay? So I'm sure all of you know about the, as the pepper grows in later stages, it turns from green to yellow to red, and that's just the pepper itself as it's growing or aging. So it is not a distinct or a different variety of pepper. So there is a red jalapeno. So as the jalapeno gets older, it can turn red. And using a red jalapeno, they actually take it and smoke it. This particular brand I just found at, this was at Longo's, I think. and it's in adobo sauce. So what adobo sauce is not adobo, the Filipino adobo, which is delicious, soy, garlic, all that wonderful stuff. This is in chili. So this is a Mexican product. I think it's a product in Mexico. I believe so. And it's done, actually it's in Texas, San Antonio, Texas. So in that vicinity, and it's done with chilies and some spices, and really, really, really delicious, okay? So again, not, it does have some heat. So I only set a tablespoon, but really depending on your heat level, if you like Chipotle and you can handle a little bit more heat, by all means. If you don't like Chipotle or you choose less heat, by all means just do half a jalapeno or a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, whatever you like.
I think Sam might have corrected you. On
Did he?
something.
What did he say?
He said they're tinned, not dried.
Did I say dry?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize. No, this is tinned, correct. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're absolutely correct. This is tinned, but the jalapeno itself is smoked, and these are tinned. Correct. They are tinned chipotle peppers. Okay. So again, not an expensive product, but goes a long way. Okay. So Cassia has the crab meat prepared here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up that little whisking station for her, and she's going to make the Chipotle aioli. So give me 1 second, Cassie, and I will set that up for you.
Okay.
So I would get you to get rid of your dirty gloves.
Yep.
Work clean, please, chef. You can get rid of your bowl. You can put that in the sink. And what we're going to do here is we are just going to clean down, and then we'll make a aioli with you guys. Okay, no, this is for your bowl. So what we're going to do is, and again, this is something that we do when we're alone working in a kitchen and we don't have a lot of help. Rather than have somebody hold the bowl, we'll twist up a little ring here, make it, and that way Cassie can work it herself and I can save on labor cost. No, I'm not going to save on labor cost. So right now at this point, the Chipotle we've broken down. So Cassie's going to do all the hard work here, and I'm going to get her to keep whisking. See how she gets all the tough jobs? So you're going to whisk in one motion and as fast as you can. And I'm just going to slit a steady stream. I'm just going to whisk in the oil. You want to switch?
No.
Is your arm sore?
I've got big muscles.
She's got big muscles. Oh yeah, I think it'd be a better switch. So she's going to whisk right in the middle.
Uh-oh. This is going to be a mess.
Go, 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 go.
More?
So all of it. So all of that oil is going in, and what we're doing is we're just emulsifying again. So there are two actually there's a natural emulsifier in here, and the natural emulsifier essentially would be the mayonnaise that we used, but the egg yolk. So the egg yolk is a natural emulsifier. But you can use, if you didn't want to use raw egg yolk, you can, we talked a little bit about this too, you can coddle it. So what coddling is essentially is cooking the egg yolk in simmering water for about 10 seconds to 15 seconds just to take some of the bacteria off the outside. The misconception is that when you talk about salmonella, it's the egg and the inner part of the egg itself that has the bacteria. What's been proven is that it's actually the exterior of the eggshell that tends to have issues with salmonella. But if you still feel uncomfortable with using that raw yolk, although I've used it for years, please just coddle it and then use it the same way, okay? So Cassie, what she's achieved essentially is a mayonnaise, a little bit looser in terms of a really thick mayonnaise that you'd use on a panini or a sandwich. But the aioli that we're gonna have here, we're gonna have as a dip. So we wanted it to be a little bit more loose. So I'm gonna get Cass to transfer this to one of those clean bowls using a spatula.
Yep.
Clean spatula, and we're going to go over and we're just going to talk a little bit about the breading station we're going to prepare, okay? Yep.
Over there? No.
You can just wash it up.
Look at how big my crab is.
I know they look great. So I'm going to get you to transfer that. We're going to start setting up the breading station, okay, Cass? So here you go, Cassie. You're going to start putting this one together, okay?
Okay.
So we're gonna set up a breading station. So the next stage of the crab cakes is Cassie's done a great job, and I'll show you that right now.
Can I put this over the whisk?
Yeah, you can just wash them up. I'm just gonna make some room for us here. And we're gonna bring over the breading station, okay? So for the breading station, what we're gonna require is egg wash. So it can be just whole egg, it can be egg with a little bit of water, it can be egg yolk, but I'm just using whole egg, okay? It's going to be seasoned flour. And what I mean by seasoned flour, we were talking over at the oven about making sure that everything that you're doing is seasoned. So we did season our flour with some kosher salt, white pepper, the egg yolk, the egg wash, and the panko breadcrumb, okay? So some people do not bread the crab cakes. Some people would just choose to dredge them in a little bit of seasoned flour and fry them that way. It's perfectly fine. Because of everybody's intolerance to gluten, you can use gluten-free bread as an alternative. Can you make the crab cakes without breadcrumb itself in the crab cake? Absolutely you can. You need a binder though, so a little bit of, like I said, gluten-free bread that you can soak in a little bit of milk. If you soak it in a little bit of milk, that'll make it moist enough that it'll give some moisture to the crab cake. And then again, we were talking about in the crab cake, instead of using mayonnaise, using alternatives. So earlier in the week, we made yogurt cheese. I've never done it, but I'm sure it would be delicious because I love the flavor of the yogurt cheese itself. So using that as an alternative product, I think it'd be a great addition. But yeah, at this point in time, it's really whatever your diet allows, and using your imagination a little bit to make sure that it conforms to your diet, right? Okay. So in this order, what we're going to do is we're going to set up flour, egg, breadcrumb, okay? So Cassie is gonna come back over to me. That you can put in the fridge, please, Cass.
Do you want me to wrap it or
Just put it right in the fridge, it's fine for now. Okay. And voila, we have a second tray underneath, okay? So this second tray. So she's done a couple of smaller crab cakes for obvious reasons. And we have the larger ones, the daddy portion crab cakes, okay? What I like to do with the crab cakes is I will put a little bit of breadcrumb just on the base of the tray, okay? So I'll take a little bit of this breadcrumb mixture and I'll put down on the bottom. And the reason I'm doing that is because as the crab is going to sit on the tray before I have an opportunity to fry it, the crab cake will sit and the moisture will fall. So it tends to make the base of these a little bit soggier, okay? And what we're gonna do working as partners is I'm gonna show Cassie one. If you're doing a single breading station with one person, I'm gonna use two separate hands here. I'm gonna take the crab cake into the flour, into the egg with my left hand, and my right hand is the finishing, so it always stays dry, okay? So I'll show you once doing it that way. So again, very gently, because they aren't held together with a lot of moisture, because we wanted them to maintain their shape a little bit. Take off some of the extra flour here. It goes into the egg completely, and it's coated all sides. And then it comes out, and with this hand, now I'm dredging. So that's if you're only by yourself, and you're able to do a breading station by yourself, okay? In terms of doing it as a team, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them from the flour into the egg, and Cassie's job will be to make sure that they're breaded properly, okay? So because now I'm using two hands, it's fine. I'm gonna roll it here. I'm gonna make sure that there's no excess flour on there so that it sticks to the crab cake. It goes into the egg wash, and then it's going into the breadcrumb, and Cassie's gonna finish, okay? So now that you have a perfect idea of how we're gonna do this, what I'm gonna have you do is finish the breading. Are you comfortable with that?
What do you mean? Oh,
You're gonna finish all of this.
Okay, one
You
hand
good?
and the other.
So one hand is here, the other, you got it?
Yeah.
Do you need a lesson again, or are you good?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
What if it breaks?
she's good. It's not gonna break, you're gonna do fantastic.
Yep, I
Okay.
am.
So what we're gonna do, wow, the dishes are piling up here. The one thing I miss so much about being at work, God, Silva, all of you guys, I miss you so much. Bala, we take you for granted every day that we work together, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take 2 of the crab cakes that Cassie has going here, and we're gonna take them and get them organized, or 3 even, because that way we get to eat more. I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna take you guys over and we're gonna start to fry these beautiful crab cakes, okay? So we're gonna go back over the stove. Cassie, after those are breaded, please, if you could just bring over the stuff for the celeriac slaw,
Yeah.
and then we'll be ready to go with that, okay? Okay guys, so crab cakes are ready to go. Ideally, set them up earlier in the day, have them ready to go for dinner, and you can prepare everything. And we're gonna do a restaurant quality presentation as well. So I'm gonna show you a little bit with, I've got some other ingredients, and whenever I'm doing the presentations, I always look for some fun ingredients that I can play around with, but are available at the supermarket. So today I was able to get some natural cress. I have what's called tom berries, which are these beautiful little, essentially they're a micro tomato, really, really small tomatoes. I have some tomatoes on the vine, cherry tomatoes on the vine, some beautiful living lettuces, so in hydro, and I'll do a really nice presentation with the chipotle and the slaw once we're finished, okay? So, can you finish them on top of the stove only? Absolutely, but you're looking for an internal of about 145, okay? So what I'm gonna do with these, I'm gonna show you how to do them, that we're just gonna finish them in the oven. Type of oil we're using, and actually I'm gonna take just a little bit out. I would say I'm doing a shallow fry. So I would say the bottom, less than a quarter of the crab cake will be in the oil, okay? Everybody's diets these days, obviously we're trying to use less and less oil. Again, with the breadcrumbs, your choice to either bread or not bread the crab cake itself, but it does need a little bit of oil. Preferred a non-stick pan. Mine's seen a little bit of work over the years, so it's not necessarily non-stick anymore, but it'll definitely do the job for today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the sear started, make sure they're not sticking to the pan, and I'm gonna put mine in the 350 oven. And they're not gonna take that long. I'm gonna take them out and allow them to rest a little bit before we plate as we're making the celeriac slaw. But in terms of the final product, you'll get an idea. And then I will place them in the oven with the original sear, and then I will turn them in the last second, okay? So I get a really nice golden brown crunch on the outside, okay? In terms of testing oil, water and oil don't mix, but in this instance, when I can start to see that the oil is bubbling a little bit, it still needs a little bit more time, but we're essentially almost there, okay? So let's see if we can start one off. Whenever I'm placing something in hot oil, towards the wall, okay? Don't place it in so that if it did splash, it came towards me. So I'm just gonna start it this way. You see a nice bubble starting off there. We don't want too high of heat, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. Optimal frying, if I was frying, would be about 350, but because I'm just shallow frying, I don't necessarily want it to be completely submerged in oil. I just want that golden skillet kind of sear on the outside, okay? It's okay, you're doing great. You're doing great, but that's why it's so important to make sure they're held together, right? Cassie's having a little bit of dramatic effect on the other side over there. She's taking a little bit longer than most sous chefs would take, let me tell you. Okay? But I thank her very much for her help today. She's helping a lot. Making a mess, but helping a lot. Do we have any questions, guys? Anybody have any more questions about the crab itself, or? Okay. Have any of you had lump crab before? Billy, any questions there? So you can see I'm just starting to get a nice golden sear underneath. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire those into the oven, okay? So that's just going to go in the oven here that I had set up ready to go. Turn off my heat. We're going to go back to the other side, and we're going to start preparing our celeriac slaw, okay? Okay, let me get Cassie going here on the last couple. I'll get rid of this.
Oh, Frederick said, Chef, when will my order arrive?
Hey Fred, how are you, buddy? Cassie will deliver. She doesn't drive yet, so she might not get there till Tuesday, but we'll definitely have them ready to go shortly, sir. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna get Cassie to finish those up. I'm gonna start moving over the ingredients for the celeriac slaw.
We've got 2 questions.
Yes.
Susan asks, did I miss the kind of oil? Is it grapeseed?
Actually, you know what? I'm using the nice thing about doing these programs is that I'm doing a lot of research and learning quite a bit, actually. So originally as a chef, I was always told never to fry with olive oil, that it has a lower smoke point and can burn, and always believed that to be the truth. Well, no, it's not the truth, actually. Is that using a light olive oil is fine, so I'm using a light olive oil today. Okay? I wouldn't be spending money on big expensive. Avocado oil is great, coconut oil is great, peanut oil has fantastic flavor, but obviously there's the danger of allergens. But a lot of those healthier oils, coconut, avocado oil is fantastic. Grapeseed is very neutral, has very high smoke point, so it is a great oil to use as well. But for today, we're using light olive oil.
And Sam asks, what's the oven temp set at?
350, Sam. You want to get rid of these, please?
Yeah, I won't need these again.
Nope, you will not need those again. And we'll need a stainless steel bowl, which I have. Thank you. Okay. Guys, I'm just going to talk you a little bit through the celeriac slaw. In terms of the celery root, how many have you used celery root before? So other names for it, actually, you might find it instead of celeriac, it's celery root, celery knob, turnip root, it's been called as well. Chefs tend to use a lot of these fancy names for all their recipes that allow us to sound very fancy, but sometimes it's just a derivative of the same name. So celery root, I love celery root, fantastic. Great cooked as a puree, raw. Today we're doing it raw. Sam, another cooking question. What is a classic salad made with celery root? Let's see if you remember all the classic dishes. Okay? You got it, Sam? I'm going to give you a minute. I'm just going to flip the crab cake. So Billy, can you turn back just to the crab cake again? Turn back over to the crab cake.
Oh.
So guys, you're going to see the crab cake here. On the first side is going to have a deep brown, okay? So what I'm looking for is that nice crunch on the outside. I don't want it burnt, obviously, but I want that deep brown. Okay, and now I'm going to put it back in the oven to finish. Okay?
Answer.
Did he give me an answer?
Yeah. I can't pronounce that.
I would try, but I don't want to
Yeah, I
butcher
don't
it.
want to embarrass myself.
Has anybody heard of a Waldorf salad?
It's right. Yes.
He got it! Way to go, Sam. Classic, classic, classic old school salad. So Waldorf salad in my day growing through chef school and stuff like that. Classic celery root salad. So celery root, what's another garnish, Sam? So celery root, we have a full celery root or celery knob here. That all I've done is I have taken it, peeled it, the exterior, and julienned it and mixed it with, I said, acidulated water. So a little tiny bit of fancy word again, with lemon juice and some water, and that's just to prevent it, you can get rid of that, just to prevent it from oxidizing. So it'll turn brown if you don't put the lemon juice, okay? For this recipe, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding a mixture of half sour cream, half mayonnaise. So Cassie, you're gonna mix all this stuff, so you're gonna need a clean spatula again, okay?
Okay. Not that one.
Okay. We're going to be getting some fresh lemon juice again. No seeds this time.
Sam said apples, walnuts, mayo, love.
Right on the, and grapes. You missed grapes, Sam. But good job, buddy. And salt and pepper, you're right, salt and pepper. Okay, so again, we've got the mixture of mayo and sour cream. We have fresh lemon juice. I chose chives here. I'm going to get Cassie to mix that through, and then all we're going to do is adjust the seasoning with salt and pepper. Okay. She's being very careful not to waste anything. Don't waste anything, Cassie.
Every other time we cook, I'm waste by accident.
I know. She's very concerned about wasting things. How are we doing? Don't be afraid to get your hands in there either, Cass.
Sam said he was gonna say raisin.
Oh, no raisins. Grapes. Okay.
Look.
Looking good. So Cassia, what I want you to do now on camera is you're going to season that. First we're going to do the crab cakes here. So crab cakes out of the oven. I'm going to organize just a little bit of paper towel. Did I bring any? Some paper towel do you have behind you there, Billy? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check the internal. So realistically, guys, you're just looking for the internal temperature of the crab cake to be we're just going to put that down to absorb some of the moisture and some of the fat, okay? So we're just looking for a 145. So right now I'm about 135 and it's still going up. So we're there, okay? So what I'm going to do is with these crab cakes now, I'm just going to take them off. And again, be careful of the oil because the oil is hot. Again, both sides have nice color. We're just going to allow them to sit on that paper towel just to absorb some of the excess oil, okay? That's going to go to the back there. And we're going to go over and we're going to start getting ready to plate. Okay, so what I'm going to do again, any other questions, guys? No? Okay, so let me taste this, Cass.
I didn't see something.
No, I'm just going to taste it. So what I always do, I think the flavor is good. I think it needs a little bit of seasoning because remember, that's the other thing that a lot of people forget. That yes, salt and pepper is a seasoning, but you can also heighten the flavor with things like citrus juice, with some vinegars, like a good cider vinegar, really good quality raspberry vinegar, depending on what you're preparing. So it's not necessary that everything that you produce, you're using salt and pepper. You can heighten flavors really well with some great citrus juice, which is what we've done there.
You got
Okay.
a couple people just joining.
Okay, hi guys, how are you?
Ooh.
That was close. So you're gonna move to the side there, Cassia? So again, when it comes down to the end and we're plating, now it's really just about getting everything organized that we've prepared for in advance, right? Okay? So what I'm gonna get Cassie to do is I'm gonna show you a couple of the garnishes. This is great, Cass, really, really, really great. So what we're gonna do is bring over some of the garnishes that we're gonna use, okay? And I wanna thank, there are a couple of companies that I'd like to thank. Fresh Start is one of them. That's been fantastic in being able to help and provide me with some great seedlings. I'm using a Sleater's press that I got from Bond Chef, actually, right off Islington Avenue in Toronto. They have open door greenhouses there that they do these beautiful, beautiful seedlings. Can you just take that one, Cass?
You got a question?
Yes.
Susan says on the recipe you indicate PC for lemon juice and eggs. What does PC stand for?
Piece. For a piece. Okay? So what we produced today, and we're getting down to the end now, is just the Chipotle Aioli. We have that beautiful slaw that Cassie had just finished. So again, really refreshing, great for summertime. just a little bit of lemon juice, chive, salt and pepper, sour cream and lemon juice. We have the crab cakes. And I chose this to make this more of a spring summer kind of dish, so something that we could be enjoying right now. And then some beautiful cress. I have one of my favorites, which is the arugula, some baby lettuces, some heritage lettuces. These are the tom berries that I was talking to you about, so the baby tomatoes. And then I have some tomato on the vine as well. Let me put that back. So what we're going to do here is, Cassie, you're just going to grab me a small bowl here. And what we're going to do is grab the olive oil from the other side again, please.
Okay.
So in this bowl, all we're going to do is take some of the small heritage lettuces and some of the arugula lettuce. And all I'm going to do is we're going to just take that and I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil. No dressing at all. And the reason why, there's so many great flavors on this plate, I don't want to mask them with anything other than the flavor of the olive oil. Can you just grab me the salt as well? I have right here, sorry. Some salt. And that's all I want for the greens. Okay? We're going to take a nice dredge, a nice spoonful of this Chipotle aioli that Cassie made. We're going to put it right at the edge of the plate here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my spatula and I'm going to bring this right across the plate.
Move the bowl, the
What
aioli.
bowl?
The aioli.
Okay. I'm going to bring that right across the plate. Instead of leaving it flat in one area, I'm just going to spread it across. Okay. The salad that I've mixed already, I'm just going to toss up just so the olive oil coats some of the lettuces themselves. And I'm just going to make a little bundle just off the center. Okay, just a little tiny bundle. Okay, that celeriac slaw that Cassie prepared, which is right here. I'm just going to take again a little bundle and I'm just going to plate this off center about 6 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to do one crab cake because they're fairly large. I'm going to do maybe only one of these tomatoes, one of these tomatoes, a couple of little tom berries, and just scatter them. And then finally what we're going to do is we're going to use some of that beautiful cress. And maybe some of this is a red leaf sorrel. A little bit of olive oil. Thank you so much for today. I appreciate it, Cassia. And there's your crab cake, everybody. I hope you have an opportunity to try this at home. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and God bless. Thank you.